What up, what up, what up? Happy Friday, happy Friday. What's going on? What's cracking? You know what it is. Every day, well, not every day, every Friday, I'm like, man, it's getting close to the weekend. I'm tired of this work day. I don't want to do anything. You're going to have a problem because now you're busy doing your weddings. Now you're grumpy. And now I'm doing the housework. And now I'm doing chores. And I'm like, oh.
Okay. That was weird.
I'm just filling in the blanks for whatever. But yeah, your grumpy vibes are showing.
Mr. It's Friday.
Dog, it's not my...
That means nothing to me.
You chose your hustle. I chose my hustle. Don't knock me for my hustle. My hustle is taking breaks on the weekends also. Oh. I deserve that time. Oh. I deserve all of it. Oh. You know, I don't feel respect in this room. Oh, man. What's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing? I'm Shadell, co-host of Paging the Simpsons, joined by my lovely fiance,
Lauren.
The manly Lauren over here on my right. And
the Lauren to your Shadeezy.
Oh, my God. And we're going to talk about a topic that was on the Breakfast Club earlier this past week here. And I thought it was super interesting because it relates to both of us because we come from two different backgrounds in this and I guess different career paths. Well, of course, different career paths.
Yep.
So I want to get into this. As you see in the title of this podcast, it's college necessary to become successful.
Nope.
I'm going to say...
I just heard you
I'm going to say it's not, but it is.
Depends.
See, I'm going to add more into this. So for you guys that
No, the podcast is over in 2 minutes. That was it. Bye.
Oh my God. To add more into this here, I'm more like, I'm kind of within like that whole IT realm, whatever, kind of not really. I don't know.
But doesn't have an IT degree.
I'm in like a mix. Yeah, I don't have a degree. Lauren has your degree. What do you have it in?
Technically, I have an associate's in general studies as well as early childhood education.
So we have both been in college. I gave up like midway through because school wasn't for me, period. And it's kind of like my mom kind of pushing me through. I didn't have like an option. It was just like, what college you going to? And I said, I want to go to Central or, you know, the ones that are in my area. But that wasn't happening because, of course, my family couldn't afford it. And also, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I don't know what I really wanted to do.
For people who don't know what Central is, it's one of their state colleges.
Yeah. In Connecticut.
Because they're like, okay, great. So a public state college.
And from what our conversation was, I feel we had this talk before where like you had college choices, but you didn't get accepted into the one you wanted to, I guess. And that's how you ended up where you ended up.
I ended up where I ended up for a multitude of reasons. So first of all, my major changed multiple times. So senior year of high school, when I was applying to colleges, I was going to be a marketing major. I was going to do the 4-year marketing degree for a bachelor's. So I got accepted to multiple schools, and then I was on the wait list at one. I ended up, I forget exactly how this happened. Senior year of high school is also when I did my CNA course to be a certified nursing assistant because I could do that through high school. Some of them you can. And by the end of that, I think that's when I changed and I wanted to do pre-nursing. So now those colleges I got accepted to, I couldn't go to because I wasn't accepted in that like major. Mm-hmm. Then at the same time, I was also struggling because I wanted to do makeup and I didn't know if I wanted to go to college. So for a while I was like, maybe I'll skip a year and I'll work as a CNA and I'll see what happens. So that was on the table. So I denied going to any of the colleges I got accepted to. And I think that summer I didn't know if I was going to college. So then in like August, I get a mailer for one of the community colleges, and I was like, why don't I do this? I was like, maybe I'll try this instead. And then another thing is my boyfriend at the time lived very close to that community college, so it was easy because I stayed there a lot. So I was like 5 minutes from the campus, which was better than like 45 from where I lived. And there was that. So there were factors that played into it. And I also wanted to do community college. One, saved money. It was really good in the end that I ended up doing this. And two, I was still kind of bouncing around with what I wanted to do. So I went in, and with community college, you go in with your general studies at first. But I had the full intention, I was doing pre-nursing. So for 2.5 years, I was pre-nursing. I was doing all like the maths and sciences and courses that you had to do so that I could then transfer to a 4-year college to get a bachelor's and become a registered nurse. That was the plan. But I've always sucked at science. Science is my worst subject, and I knew this going into it. But I also had the mindset, I was like, well, if I work as hard as I can, then I can excel. And sure, that was true in some areas, but ultimately I got to Anatomy and Physiology 2, which is the last science that you need before you transfer for nursing. And I got halfway through and I dropped it because I couldn't do it anymore. Anatomy and Physiology 1, to give you an idea, I struggled. I got lucky that I got a C, I think, for the entire semester. That was a rough semester. And by the time I got to the second, it was rough. I was by halfway through it. I had all these talks with my teacher and like everything, and she was amazing. And that was the moment I decided this just isn't the path for me. And it was cool because for me, I needed that. I needed to push myself as much as I could to see what I could do. And I am one of those people that believes that everything happens for a reason. I was supposed to go to college. I was supposed to go to this college and take these classes and meet the people I did because I think everything is lined up to where I am right now. Because then, so I decided that I wasn't doing nursing and I was fully fine with it. I had closure. I was like, I did what I could do. And then I switched to early childhood education because I was close to having a degree and I wanted to finish and I liked working with kids. So I was like, okay, why not? So what ended up happening, since I had went for 2.5 years already for pre-nursing, I graduated the third year, like at the end of the third year that I was in community college with my general studies degree that was 2014. Wow. Because they basically said, they're like, why not? Like you qualify for it on top of getting the next one next year. So I was like, sure. So I got my general studies, which then enabled me to get a raise at my job that I was at. So, again, everything happens for a reason. But, and then the following year, so 1 year later, I graduated with my early childhood education degree. So it literally took me 4 years. I was in college for 4 years, but I got two-year degrees instead of a 4-year degree, basically. And that's where I stopped. I ended up having a full-time job for like 1.5 years at a daycare. I had went full-time after being part-time for a while. And then in January of 2016 is when I quit that job to pursue makeup full-time. And ever since, I've just had like side gigs while I was pursuing makeup more full-time. So for me, that was my college journey. It was good. I had some good teachers along the way. I did learn some lessons that I think I needed to. And I met people I needed to. But I lived life pretty normally. I didn't have like a party, dorm lifestyle or anything. It was just, I lived at home or I lived with the boyfriend or whoever, and I just went to school. And, in the end, I'm not using my degree right now. It doesn't do anything for me. Neither of them make sense for my path in life right now, whether it's monetarily or education-wise or whatever. But I still think that I did what I was meant to do to be where I am today. So that's kind of my complicated journey with college.
No offense, you went into a lot of detail and I blanked out for a moment. So.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
I'm sure I'm not alone.
My answer, I guess, is college necessary for becoming successful? Yes and no. I still believe yes, you still have to go to college for certain majors to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever, the obvious ones. So yes, it helped me be successful by going and the experience and I think the people I met and stuff. But at the same time, no, because I'm not using my degrees at all. I'm not using a lot of the classes I took at all. They're not my life right now for my success that I'm creating right now. So that's my thing. So how about you? What was your college experience?
Well, after that whole thing, I'm not going into that much detail because I'm trying to stick to the topic. I kind of had to because mine was like a journey. Mine wasn't like I just went to 4-year college for marketing and graduated. Mine was like it changed. It evolved. More. So I say it's 50-50. I'm going at it from my point of view because obviously, yeah, if you want to be a lawyer, you're going to have to go to school. If you want to be a nurse or a doctor, you're going to have to go to school. I'm going to hit it more on top of the things of like sticking to the world of IT, I'll say, and like, yeah, a bit of management. Because that's kind of what I was targeting as I was going up because those are like, that's what interests me, like being around the IT stuff, being somewhere in management, I could see myself like handling that. So my degree was like focused in that area where it was business and information technology. And what I've come to realize, moving throughout my jobs, because instead of me getting my degree and me working and gaining experience through work, it's tough because I sit there and there's still a lot of companies that you really want to get into if you're like in IT and you're in like management, but a lot of places they are more likely to like give you that leg up if you have a degree. Like a lot of times you see like like bachelor's degree required or preferred or whatever, and a lot of these times when I put my application in these places, if they're gonna, even if it says preferred, I'm like, I feel like my chances are so slim. Which sucks because you telling me I had to waste my time for 2, 4, however many years for me to get this piece of paper for it to prove that I'm qualified. So my path is so much different because I hustled my way through Target for starting out. I wasn't cool with that. I was working on like trying to find, like, this is when we were in a relationship, I was working on trying to find like another job to make more, of course. Found one that was great. Got laid off from it because it was just a whole... everyone got laid off from it because they were trying to downscale, I guess you could say. And then found something that I'm still keeping today and hustling. And like me not having a degree now, I feel like I'm at the point where my experience and what I've done at these places can speak for itself. But I still feel like when I put my application to places, they're going to look at more of, do I have this degree or not? Because I can have all the experience in the world, I feel like, but if they don't feel like, if they scroll through your resume and they don't see like anything where it says education and the school and what your degree was, I don't know if they're really caring. Because they'll probably feel like, okay, this person went to school. They
got a lot of applicants to look through, so they want the most overall qualified, so they probably want that too.
It's assumed that this person, because they went to school, they're more qualified, which doesn't make sense to me.
That's what I don't like, because also there's people who just aren't as great at school, but they're really good in real life careers and jobs, and there's also people that are more hands-on and that kind of thing. And with the stuff you do, I don't think it makes a difference.
I'll say if you're going around like IT,
because you're a learner, though. I feel like you can learn a job that someone wants you to learn. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's better than someone who goes to school but doesn't know how to do a job.
When I go into these interviews, I have to make sure that, or even you, whoever's listening to this, you have to make sure that you are representing yourself to the fullest. Because I've seen people at the current job I'm working with, when I see them like trying to hire people for certain departments and stuff like that, I see these guys come in and I'm like, I don't know, like this guy, like even down to what you're wearing. Like I see this guy wearing like a oversized suit, or like this person's a bit older. I don't know if they're gonna, no offense, it's not the greatest, and I think you're not supposed to do that. but also age is a factor where it's like, is this person able to like pick up what they're gonna be teaching you and training you on? It's something that companies look at. You have to kind of
but just like you don't want people to judge you for not having a degree, you can't really judge them if they're older.
I can't, but that's what happens. I'd like to say
because they may have the experience that you're talking about,
which is true. Because I've seen it where
because they've had more
I've seen it where they hire people that are older, and those people that you hire that are older still don't have a clue, and they're still
let's be real, okay? From a business standpoint, it's also more financially feasible to hire someone who's older.
That's debatable.
Because you don't have to give them a million raises. They're going to retire sooner. Like,
wait, what do you mean? What is older to you? Because I see older as like 40, 50.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 50.
They're going to retire. I don't think a manager's looking at it like that.
If you're here 15, 20 years versus 40 years. I don't think
that's a major scale. A manager's not looking at, oh, this is going to be less I don't believe a manager's looking at, oh, the company has to pay. Why does the manager care about that? I'm just trying to find someone that can do the job.
There's a lot of factors.
Yeah, but the manager is not looking at that. Maybe if you're like interviewing with HR, you're more likely to look at that. But a manager that's just looking to fill this position for the most qualified person for the people that.
Well, HR more so also wants to make sure they're getting their quota for like diversity and everything. So yes, older or different shades or whatever.
I say it's so tough because the reason I bring this topic up is because if you go to the Breakfast Club, they did an interview with Irv Gotti and Ja Rule from Murder Inc., as some people to my right don't know this. And Irv Gotti, he's like, his daughter wanted to go to school. That was fine. He let her go to school. Then his two sons, they didn't know what they wanted to do. So he's like, okay, like I'm a business person. Just come with me on the road. And, learn what I do and all that stuff. And maybe something will catch. Maybe you'll find an interest in whatever.
Which is cool.
And supposedly, don't know for sure, of course, but he's like, oh, they make like six figures now. Which is cool. That you have like a dad that's able to take you on and grow, like help you with all your business issues and questions and all that stuff. Yeah. And then Ja Rule, where he has his kids. And it's like he's telling his kids where you should go to school, get that education, because he's also looking at it from a point of view where, like, there was a point in time where we weren't able to have this education or be able to read or have all these things, which I totally understand. So I'm like so 50-50 because there's so many gates that are opened for you after you get that degree.
Here's my thing, too, because I understand about the learning perspective. If you want to do a job that doesn't require a degree, I think you should do it. And then if you want to genuinely learn things, you literally can take a class at a community college if you want. Like, you don't have to go get a degree and get into all this debt if you don't want to do something in that degree or if you don't need it.
Well,
so I think to be well-rounded, if you want to do the job without the degree and then educate yourself in stuff you actually like, that's cool. But, like, I'm not saying not to do that, but I get where he's coming from. At the same time, though, don't waste your time if it's not going to be a degree you need.
I don't think that's what...
But at the same time, I do sound like a hypocrite because I did that.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying...
I'm 50-50 because I'm saying that, but at the same time, I did get more out of it. So, like, and I think it led me to where I had to be. I think if you go in thinking you're going to do one major and you come out doing another, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I get it, because when I was in it, that was a bad thing for me because I was ashamed of how long it was taking to get such a small degree. Because associates is nothing nowadays.
Well, it was nothing when we first got into that.
That's what I'm saying. We're still in... 5 years ago was nowadays. It's still the same thing.
Yeah, that was nothing.
Like... But the reason I did it, again, my first intention of going to community college was just because I was going to do the pre-nursing and save some money and all that stuff. So, like, the associates at the end of the day don't do anything. But I came out of that, and I hated that I spent 4 years on just associates. Like, that was the thing, was you see your friends graduating the same amount of time with a bachelor's, and you're like, But... I think I got more out of it realistically and like in life than I did by just having to get a degree. So I think it still ended up directing me on my path.
The thing is, you check back on those same friends. A lot of them aren't doing stuff in that what they majored in.
That's true.
Because that's what I noticed. Like, a lot of us get pushed by our parents and to like go into college, and we just pick anything. We may pick like arts, we may pick literature, and it's like that's not. What is that going to do? No offense.
The people that go to 4-year colleges for a liberal arts or general studies degree, I'm sorry, but what? That's where you should go to community college and discover stuff, because you literally are wasting so much money.
The thing I will say, which I know this isn't obvious, but I feel like some people don't think so, maybe, where it's like, if you don't decide to go to college, which is fine, you gotta hustle. No matter if it's you trying to run a business or you just trying to
prove
move
yourself
up. Like, I'm like, for me to go, I don't know, for me, I don't look at it as any small thing, but for me to go from Target making minimum wage, this is within what, like when did I start working? Like 2012. So we're in 2019. That's what, 7 years?
7 years.
So within I won't even say that. I'll say from like when I started working at Target, it was 2012, like August. And then when I got this job I'm currently working, it was like 2 years ago. Which was freaking 2017. So within 5 years of like me making minimum wage, I was able to transition into making more than that, like a living wage, you could say. I'm not giving numbers here, just a living wage.
Oh, he's just like, more than that.
That's it.
But that is so broad.
But that's the thing.
$1 more per hour. No, I'm just kidding.
We're not talking dollars, but just more than that.
Oh, we're not talking dollars.
And that's the thing. Like, I had a plan. Like, I remember talking about this to you, I think, in the beginning of our relationship, where I'm like, when I started working at Target, I immediately thought, I'm like, okay, what are my options to, like, get out of this current position I'm in? And I looked at it, because I'd still like working at Target at the time, physical labor school, whatever, don't mind it. And I'm like, I looked at their manager spots. Their manager spots, you need to have a bachelor's, literally just a bachelor's in anything, for you to be a part of like the management team, or be like, it says required. I'm like, okay, that's stupid. I'm like, man, so I was looking at so many places. I applied to places for months, trying to find anything, going on interviews, and it's like, finally, you get like some hint from some place. It's great, everything's going good, you're getting bonuses, you're getting raises, and then you're hit with the layoff. I'm like, shoot, nice in here, like, I don't have a degree to fall on. I don't know what to do. I was literally just starting to get my career off the ground. So it's not having that experience for that long of a time. Who's going to hold me down? Like, who's going to really be like, I don't know if I want this guy, because what does he have to offer? But now that, like, I'm in it somewhere for a good amount of time, my track record is good.
Like,
I'm doing things.
your resume's looking better. You have the time under your belt and the experience in these
Now I feel
fields.
confident to, like, if I wanted to leave, I'm like, I can get a lot of offers because of my experience and what I've done.
You can sell yourself, essentially.
Exactly. With having a degree, you don't have to do so much of that selling yourself. You just, he got a bachelor's in this?
That's true.
You're good.
But you know what's funny is back when I said I got the CNA and all that, I did work as a CNA for a while. And even when I was applying to all those jobs, do you know how many of them you needed experience? Like, whether it was 6 months, a year, 2 years experience, it was like required. Like, that's why I end up working where I worked, because you started there because it was awful there. Because everywhere else you needed experience. And this is what blows my mind, okay? Even if you have the degree that is so prestigious and so, required, now they require experience too. Okay, well, you wanted me to go the last 4 years and focus on that degree you wanted me to get. How was I supposed to get the experience too at the same time all of a sudden? Like, it's
how are you supposed to like work?
It blows my mind that these places, when you have an entry, it would still be an entry level job because you're entering in that field, and it's like, really?
Yeah, because you're supposed.
It doesn't make sense.
I know what you're talking about, because I bumped into those where it's like, you're supposed to go to school, work whatever other job you're working, and then also work that, so you have the experience to get into that job, like, to then pay off that debt. It's
this mentality of, how am I supposed to get the experience if everyone wants me to already have it? It made no sense.
that's why I'm 50-50 when it comes to like, do you really need college for this? Because a part of me is like, no, if you're not doing anything major, like as far as a doctor, lawyer, you know, those fields where you need to be, nurse, all that stuff, you don't have to go to school. But I'm telling you now, if you're on the fence, if you're deciding right now, if you're young and you haven't gotten to that point, just be ready. If you're not going to school, to bust your butt, to always have a next plan, because that was my idea when I first started my job at Target, was, okay, I'm here. I don't plan on staying here forever. What's my next move? And it's funny because when I go back to the Target I used to work at, I still see the same people that are still working there that, you know, started within the same time that I was there. And it's just like, wow, like, I know you're not getting paid that much, and it's all cool. In Connecticut, minimum wage is going up. That's great for you within the next couple years. But it's just
Don't even get me started on that stupid topic.
It's how is it sustainable? Like how
that's gonna screw us all.
Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. But I'm just saying, like, you always have to have a plan. You get in a job. Don't be stagnant in that. Bust your butt at that job. Implement any ideas you have. Talk about it. Anything that you can offer to that job, give it to them. Hopefully they add it to whatever their training, their curriculum, whatever the case is, so you can add that on your belt for your resume.
Oh, and side note, you don't need a business degree to run a business, because I don't have one.
A lot of people don't.
And I took, I think, maybe one business course in college and maybe one in high school. I didn't actually major in anything having to do with that, and I didn't do it. It's helpful. I think that some people, it does help, and it kind of gets you in that mindset, but
it's not needed.
I'm growing every year. It's an actual thing that's becoming real and more, you know, successful. So, you know, you could also, whatever it is you love to make or sell or do, like, you can make a good business out of it. You need to educate yourself then. See, for me, it's a lot of self-education, whether that's video, podcasts, courses, webinars, things like that. Webinars is a big one for me. And books and all that. You can and just networking and talking to people and learning their skill, because you can definitely, for someone who, see, he's more talking from like the 9-to-5 standpoint, but from someone who wants to not go to college but start a business, it's all about self-educating, because you do have to still learn, like, for whatever you're doing, like business practices in general, and then your specific stuff, and just doing that, being disciplined in that area. But it's possible.
Well, to add to that, there's a ton of videos on YouTube you can find of people that don't have that business degree, but have found their niche or their business, and they made something out of it. I was watching listening to a podcast of this guy that quit his HR job that was paying him fine just to pursue a life of having a business where he was a chef. Ooh. And it's like he's making way more money that he made in the corporate world now that he has his own business. Like, he has people handling everything.
It takes time.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing too, is if you quit like a nice, cushy, like 9-to-5 job that does pay well, it's an adjustment, because that's the thing too, is be prepared to self-educate, but also be prepared to have like side gigs while you're coming up. Because if you have bills to pay, chances are, you know, either it's like the spouse needs to have a very well income or a second job, or you need to do like side gigs, like, to kind of make up for that a little bit. So you definitely have to be more disciplined and more flexible when it comes to the business aspect. But it's possible. It's very possible. So that's where I'm like, I'm
all down. I love people that can maneuver in the world without a degree, whether that's having your own business or just being based on experience. Because, like, for example, to touch on it more, I guess you could say on 9-to-5 front, or even in the mix, is like coding is a big thing right now. You can learn how to learn a language yourself, and then just like you could be self-taught, make a program, put it on iTunes, and get paid off that. Like, you can go make applications, and then if you really care, if you want to have a consistent income, maybe you don't like that, where you're just making apps and putting them online, yo, you can, those apps that you're making, that can potentially get you a job, because you're sitting there like, oh, go on the App Store, you can download my work. Like, that's a big leg up in this world.
Times are changing too. That's the thing.
Yeah, anyone that's able to, I'm telling you, anyone that's able to hustle without needing a college degree, I give those people a lot of credit.
It's kind of funny because I have college degrees, but at the same time, just when I'm living my day to day and like the way I'm doing stuff, it's like I don't feel like I do. Because again, they literally have nothing to do with what I'm actually doing.
And that's the case for a lot of people.
So I feel just so disconnected from it at this point, because it's been 4 years now since I graduated with the last one. And my life's just cruising along without them. Like, you know, I don't know.
Man, that's all I got for that one. I'm down.
So I'm 50-50. I'm
See?
at a...
Converted you.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you were? Okay.
I wasn't like strongly one way or the other.
Okay.
Because I feel like they can help certain people, like even with business. Some people that could light a fire in their ass, you know, like to get a business going.
What?
Is if they get a business degree.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the freaking like metaphor you just used.
As in, get them like up and running. Like,
you gonna light a fire in your ass?
Have you never heard this phrase?
I've heard it. It's just I was not expecting you to light a fire in that ass.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. But you got what I'm saying.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this one and roll up. I'm curious to know everyone's thoughts on this. Let me know if you have a degree and let's say you're not doing what your degree was for, and you have your own business, or you're in a 9-to-5 doing something different. I'm kind of curious to know what people's thoughts are on that. As always, like I mentioned in the past episode, you can send us voice messages on anchor.fm/PagingTheSimpsons. You can also hit us up through DM, Instagram, DM there, Twitter, Facebook, all of that great stuff. Everything's in the description. Email also. I want to hear everyone's thoughts. Like, what was your choice? And if you haven't made that choice yet, do you think it's successful or not? Do you think you have to go through that route? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to know other opinions, because it's everywhere with this. With that being said, guys, I think we're out. Gonna go enjoy this nice weather. And yeah, as always, I'm Shadell from Paging the Simpsons, joined by my lovely fiance,
Lauren.
Oh, you're not using a deep voice now?
I'm sorry. Lauren.
Manly Lauren here.
Sorry.
I'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace.